How's it going, guys? And welcome to your day one review. I still can't get past that name. Like, I get what they're going for. They're like, this is day one where, we got this show on January 1st. But, like, why not just bring back New Year's Revolution? I said this in my SmackDown review, I believe. I believe it was the last one I did, and even Zubair had brought up as well, echoing that sentiment. I don't understand. You already have like an established pay per view. You'll get that nostalgia out of it, but we ended up with this. So what did I think of this show? Well, first of all, the original main event was going to be Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, as we all know. But Roman ends up getting COVID, which I did not even hear this. Apparently, like, this was announced like hours before the pay-per-view. Somehow I missed it. I don't know. Like, I was on Instagram for a good part of the day, and I didn't even see it. So that's pretty interesting. Because I saw an article by CBS Sports, and that was like from 16 hours ago or something like that, and I missed it because I was like, "What is the card?" And I look and I'm like, "Oh." As I'm watching the show, because like I don't even know what's going on Raw. As you know, we only review SmackDown, and I'm gonna make a big announcement about that. Later on about the future of SmackDown reviews, based on the result of what happened in the main event. So, main event has been changed. Brock Lesnar is now being inserted into the Raw main event. He's going to be inserted into the WWE Championship match for Big E's title, for the Raw World title. And they're just not going to have a SmackDown main event, basically. Which, is kind of shitty because all of that, SmackDown build up gets tossed away. All the stuff they did with Heyman leading up to this point, all that stuff with Sami Zayn, tossed in the shitter basically. But what can they do? You could say whatever you want about the handling of people, getting infected with COVID, but they got to follow certain rules or they're going to get in deep water. So, be that as it may, show starts off, and overall, like, this show was, I can't say it was bad. This is one thing I have to say. I look back on all my other pay-per-view reviews, basically, and by the way, we're calling these premium live events now. We're not even going to be calling them pay-per-views anymore, which makes sense. I know that's like something that's like in our language now because we're so used to calling big, super cards, pay-per-views. But like, this is not pay-per-view anymore. We're not, calling this in. It's just streaming. But, there wasn't really a good name. I'll give them that. There really was not a good name for calling these things in like premium events. That sounds so corporate, but whatever. Who the fuck cares even when I really think about it? Whatever they call them at this point. It's not like they really put any thought into calling things anything by fancy names. I mean, look at the name of this pay-per-view, for God's sakes. But, they finally came up with a new name. And what I was going to say is the fact that I look back and a lot of the pay-per-views are more positive towards most of the time. Because, genuinely, most of the time, these guys are working really hard. Only thing I always complain about is they're uneventful. Nothing really great happens. Now, they kind of fell into it kind of by accident with something happening on this show. So, I mean, we'll give credit where credit's due, but they probably didn't have as much plan. Although I am interested to see what the original plans would have been if Reigns didn't get COVID. Would have they done something with Heyman? They probably would have, I'm going to guess. I mean, I'm sure they had a whole finish plan, so there probably was going to be something there. And it actually would have been more storyline based, obviously. This they had to throw together. You could argue they could have made things a bit more interesting than just shoehorning Brock in there. But, you know, Brock is the big star, so he gets to have his way, as he explains in a promo later on. So let's start off this review. We've got the Usos defeating the New Day for like the 785th time. Look, I'm not gonna lie, you know, there's a lot of people that are sick of this match, and I have one of them. I've been saying it for so long doing these reviews. Do they have chemistry? Yes. As much as I really despise the New Day and hate their gimmick and hate their character, I've said it 1,000 times. I understand they make merchandise sales. You know, God forbid they actually have a gimmick that's not stupid, where maybe they can make even more money off of it. And they don't have to target, you know, the nerdiest and saddest fans imaginable. I mean, honestly, like, who besides the kids who have all the excuse in the world to wear that goofy shit, can you imagine there's actually 30 and 40-year-old men, like, wearing this stuff? Like, wearing the New Day, like, colorful, really nerded up bullshit? It's really sad and depressing to think of, but you know, I guess that's who they're targeting. And you know, if it works for them, if it makes them money, that's just great. But like, it's time to move on already. Time to move on, because how many times are we gonna have this match where we've basically seen every possible move that these guys can do, every possible scenario in the ring. You know, the Usos have won, New Day has won, and the New Day, there's this line on commentary that Pat McAfee says they're saying that they're gonna, you know, step aside and let all the other teams have a chance, but they're gonna try to win the tag titles anyway. Like, if they're gonna step aside, then, you know, why feed McAfee that line? Obviously, you know, McAfee, great commentator, makes these shows a lot more bearable, makes SmackDown 10 times more bearable. I don't even want to imagine how bad SmackDown would be if we had Corey Graves every night along with Michael Cole, like the good old days. Don't want to even imagine that. But McAfee says that line, it's obviously fed to, and I'm like, okay, well, then step aside and let someone else be in this match, because we've seen it like fucking, like, you gotta be honest, like, this match must have happened on TV and premium events at least 100 times. I mean, give or take maybe like 10 or 15. I mean, it's time to put this one to rest. You know, maybe if they advertised this as the last time that they met, it would have been more interesting. But it is definitely time to retire this matchup. It's gone on way too long. 11 tag titles for New Day when they've only been a team. They're saying a decade. The team came together like in late 2014. I think they wrestled their first match as a team like in early 2015 or something like that. And they're already saying a decade. I mean, I know they want to have like that nice even achievement, but you know, it's only seriously been like 6 years, and you know, 7 years now, and I mean 11. I guess that's not bad when you add up maybe like one time a year, but these reigns have been long, and it's true they haven't really given anyone else a chance, and there's been well, I don't know really if there's been any teams that really deserve it. But you know what I mean? They focus so much on this one team. They have beat it to death. You know, they're stretching it out now with this stupid, retarded king gimmick. You know, coming out with a colorful throne and the worst looking crown that I've ever seen. Like, just watching this gives me a fucking headache. And it's just dreadful because it's endless, and I don't understand how people enjoy the New Day and never want them to break up. Anyway, we'll move on. Oh, and they won by the Usos win with a 3D, which was interesting. I mean, that was a unique finish. I'll give them that. But man, so many kickouts, way too much going on, way too long, dragging out like a 20-minute match. Really, wasn't it like at the least like 20 minutes or so? Damn well felt like it. But yeah, 3D at the end was an interesting way to cap it off. And I like how it it took them so long to say that this was a Dudley Boys move until McAfee kind of threw that line in there at the end. And he kind of said it in a way where it wasn't that prominent. Like almost like they told him on the headset, like, stop, don't say the Dudley's name. And I don't know if that's maybe... Doesn't Devon still work for them as an agent? I know Bully Ray doesn't. I know he's criticized them on his podcast. So I don't know what that was all about. You know, it took them like a whole minute to mention that it was a Dudley's move. For those who may not know, you know, but anyway, so they do a Big E promo backstage, and you know, thing is with Big E, like part of his promo, like the first half just sounded goofy as shit, but the second half, where he got serious, sounded good, and it, you know, it was fast and it was intense. Big E is a mixed bag. You know, he is a goof, but let's be honest. I mean, this guy's in tremendous shape. I think he's just probably one of the most mismanaged, like misbooked, and, you know, they've done just a terrible job with this guy's character. They have made him look like a goofball, but, you know, the times when he does show that intense side, it can be, you know, I don't want to use the word captivating, that's a little dramatic, but it is definitely superior to all the other goofy shit that he does. There's been times where he has been funny. I'm not going to lie and be one of those, you know, curmudgeons that come on here, oh, stupid, you know, stuff. It's one thing with Kofi and Xavier. But yeah, Big E can be funny. I talked about his little laughing shtick that he did over on SmackDown to Heyman. That was entertaining. So yeah, I can't say that the humor that he does is always bad. Sometimes he gets a chuckle out of me. But, you know, as the world champion, he shouldn't be like Mr. Chuckles all the time. It should kind of be like humor in the style of The Rock. And I did kind of get those vibes, and I'm always very reserved about doing that same energy type of stuff, which, you know, we talk about this all the time over on social media. I always make fun of the same energy posts. You know, ever since I saw that trash with the Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks comparison to Austin Rock, you know, but yeah, you know, you could kind of see where he's going for, and he's kind of trying to emulate that like Rock type of intensity with the humor, but not getting it right. Few can, so it's probably not worth even trying to emulate it in the first place. You know, just be your own guy, you know, but I got a feeling they're telling him, like, be funny, throw, like, little jokes in there, but just, you know, this whole thing about, you know, instead of you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor, you're Seth Rollins, you're Owen, like, what is that line? Like, that first of all, that doesn't even make any sense, and then he drifts away from that bullshit, and then he gets serious and ends up sounding half decent. Then we talk to the Migos, and look, you know, I'm not going to bash this like some fans. I'm not going to be like a JD. You know, that's one thing me and JD have in common. We're big metal fans, but I have to be quite honest. It's 2022 now. Virtually nobody in the mainstream is talking about metal. You know, you got to find this music on your own. You have to know about this stuff. And, you know, WWE was one thing when they used to have, like, metal pay-per-view themes and everything from bands and everything. It was a cool time, without a doubt. Some of the greatest music, in my opinion, being played on those pay-per-views. But, you know, it doesn't make any sense to do it anymore, because that's just simply what most people are not listening to that kind of music. So why would WWE like really promote that style of music? It's not gonna, you know, go over as well. And they've already got the niche audience. We don't need to be listening to those goofs. They cater to them enough as it is. So, you know, these guys cut a promo that's like almost like unintelligible. I will say this, like, what were these guys even saying? You know, just the struggling to like relate to wrestling. Like, you could see like they're not like big wrestling fans. They're just paid to be there. Oh, I'm gonna go and climb up on the turnbuckle. Oh, he knows his wrestling. Like, okay, guys, you know, I thought that they were going to perform, but you know, they were just there because that's the theme song for the pay-per-view. And they would be out there later for the Street Profits match. You know, they were going to be there to support them. So that's why they were there, for another reason. But then we had the match between Drew McIntyre and Madcap Moss. And this match right here, it wasn't bad. I mean, it's not like I was really expecting this one to be bad, because I have seen, you know, Riddick Moss in the past, and you know, this guy, like, really, like, a good physique, I think like a pretty good look, but they've given him this gimmick where, you know, it's one thing if they want to make him like the joke man, you know, like, but holy shit, the jokes he told before this match, like, you know, like saying like a goat was like Drew McIntyre's prom date. We've went over this 1,000 times now. Every single time they do the terrible happy talk segment. Like, these jokes, like, I get it's his gimmick, but like, they're not even really making that much of sense, and they're like so bad that I don't even know how they could be comfortable like putting this out there. And the crowd's not responding to it well. You know, you could tell like the crowd just kind of gets really cringed out and uneasy. It's not the heel heat that they're looking for, but they're continuing doing it. And I don't understand why. You know, there was also something really strange also I noticed on Instagram today. WWE posted this thing for like 2022, like how their talent looks now versus how they used to look. And they show Brock Lesnar. You know, they show like a few others, like Zelina Vega, where the only difference is she's wearing a crown now. Yeah, big difference, right? And then they show Corbin, and the side by side is him as the king, and then now him as Happy Corbin. And then Corbin actually commented on this and mentioned his bum ass Baron Corbin gimmick. And I was thinking the same thing. I was like, shouldn't that be the big transformation? Should, like, not the king thing, because shouldn't it be from rags to riches? Why were they so dead set on getting away from this look when they looked like they were pretty committed to it in the first place? This is like everything else really with this company. You know, we get something decent and it's like automatically like ripped away. Anyway, match was pretty decent. You know, Drew McIntyre and Moss. You know, you wouldn't think that they'd have this like on a pay-per-view or, excuse me, premium live event. You know, you would think that they just go right to Corbin. But you know, I guess this is their way of like building things, but you know, it's already gotten tiresome because we've seen all the tag matches involving these guys. But you know, I like what they were doing here. It is also a nice contrast from what we saw in the opening match, like 1,000 false finishes, you know, just some classic like regular wrestling, and I'm fine with that. And I miss matches like that. Not dragged out, you know, not overblown to the point of ridiculousness where I'm rolling my eyes up into my head. No, you know, just a little bit more basic, and it was decent. You know, Drew wins with the Claymore, and then we move on. We get an Owens promo in the back, and I see like Owens is trying to have a bit more character. He's kind of doing that whole paranoid thing, like kind of like, you know, purposely talking a little bit faster. And now he's back to talking about like Sami Zayn and complaining about Lesnar, and he says he has to have a talk with Seth Rollins. You know, okay, you know, he's back to being friends with Sami Zayn now all of a sudden. Like, didn't we just have a WrestleMania match between these guys? Like, the back and forth thing, I get it. It's supposed to be his character. You know, Zayn and Owens, they're fighting one minute, they're friends the next. But, like, you know, we're just erasing storylines. It's just illogical. Now all of a sudden, like, he's a heel, a face, a heel, a face, and I looked at this like recap thing that they did later on for like the for Raw, like what they've been doing building up to this like WWE match. I can't figure out for the life of me like what the fuck is going on. There's a disqualification here, and he purposely got disqualified, and Seth got like what a cockamamie way of building towards a match just so they could add people into it. I don't know, but it was really like headache inducing trying to decipher what the hell was going on Raw. Like, and even a recap, which is edited, couldn't even like really properly explain it. Yeah, you know, they manipulated the disqualification rule, you know, with their matches with Big E so they could like get into the match. I get it, but it was like, you know, you showed us to a regular person who's not like familiar with all this like the DQ rule and everything, and it's just going to look like a big mess to them. Like, oh yeah, let me explain how this works, and they'll be just looking at you and just saying like, you seriously watch this shit? It makes no sense, and they'd be right. We get a Seth Rollins package that like does a whole retrospective on him, dating back to like his Idaho days and his NXT days and his Shield days, and I'm like, why? Like, are we in Idaho? are we you know no, where's he from? Is it? No, it's Ohio, right? No, we're not even there. So like, why are we like doing a whole entire career retrospective on this guy? He's already an established star, has already won the world title a few times already. You know, why are we now recapping his career? I don't know. You know, later on we do one for Bianca Belair, so maybe this is something that they're doing to like fill time. But, you know, like, it's an okay package, but it's just kind of obtrusive. Like, why am I being shown this like right here? You know, you're watching a pay-per-view and all of a sudden like a mini documentary comes on. I thought they were like at first like promoting something, you know, for Peacock, like a Seth Rollins special, but apparently that wasn't the case. It's just like, here's something on Seth. He's wrestling later, so watch it. But Bianca wasn't wrestling, so why was her package there? We got RK Bro defeating the Street Profits. You know, decent. You know, once again, not like totally overblown, over the top stuff. You know, better than the opening match. Good finish. I really like the you know, you got Riddle picking up Montez Ford, throwing him to Orton, who did an RKO. So, you know, that was I think Edge and him probably did that move before in the past. Could be wrong about that or something similar. But it was a pretty good finish. So they end up retaining the titles. Then you have Amigos getting in the ring, and they, you know, they kind of celebrate with them. Whatever. You know, I still don't know who these guys are. I'm sure they're very popular, just like Bad Bunny probably have 100 billion downloads. Then we got Drew McIntyre getting attacked. He starts cutting a promo talking about Happy Corbin, and is he gonna now go after Corbin now that he took care of Moss? They both attack him. Moss and Corbin do. They put a chair around McIntyre's throat. Corbin picks up like a steel a piece of a steel structure and slams it down his throat. We get like no blood. This is, you know, he's doing the little like coughing act. That, you know, I'm sorry. Don't do a spot like this if you're not gonna have at least some fake blood, because you know you're gonna smash something on someone's throat and they're gonna like basically just be like perfectly fine. You know, you gotta show something. I mean, come on. Like on a premium event, we can't even do that. And seriously, you're gonna do something like that violent, you have to show some semblance of blood. I'm sorry, you know that I don't mean to sound like old TV-14 guy, you know, but that's really you can't do something that hardcore and violent because it's just totally unbelievable. You're putting on a performance, you know, come on. Add a little something to it to make it halfway believable. You know, you did this thing with like Kane and others in the past. You know, when like Snitsky stomped on his throat. You know, we had blood coming out of the mouth. You can't now fast forward many years and now like, oh, we can't show blood, so we're just gonna, you know, do this like half-ass like PG version of it. Then don't do this spot. I would just avoid it altogether then. And then we get our little package here on Bianca Belair, and it's like the same thing, humble beginnings, like Rollins. And I just have to ask, like, why? It's just that I guess it is. It's a time filler now. It's something new that they're trying out doing. You know, I've noticed they've done little things like on SmackDown, like, you know, animating certain graphics. They don't do it on every episode, but they're like adding a little something extra there to spice it up. And I get it. But this, you know, this was like a little bit long, you know, like 3-4 minutes of footage. And, you know, like just put it on Peacock is all I got to say. Like, don't, you know, shower the show. There's enough stuff. If you're that strapped for time, just make it a little shorter. I mean, honestly, do we need to get it all the way up to 3 hours every single pay-per-view? Is that absolutely necessary? You know, that we have to start sprinkling in little mini documentaries? Then we get Lesnar doing a promo backstage. He says, you know, that he's Brock Lesnar. He does the my client thing for Paul Heyman, which I'll admit, you know, he was doing it kind of mocking Heyman in the way, so I found that to be entertaining. And he says he's now in this match because he's a free agent and he gets to do what he wants to do. He was entertaining here. Good facials from Brock showing the personality. Like I said, look how he did that even better than Paul Heyman. This is why the microphone should remain in this guy's hands for the remainder of, you know, however long he's going to keep doing this with WWE. Then Edge does his entrance, and he does the Brood entrance again. I saw, you know, they did the recap of this feud on Raw. He poured the black sludge down on the Miz, which I still think is ridiculous. You know, it can't be red, so it has to be black, which doesn't even make sense. When was the last time Gangrel and the Brood dumped black goo on people? Like that defeats the purpose of playing the Brood's music and doing the whole Brood gimmick here. And I don't understand like why he's coming out here. He just did this in his previous feud with Seth Rollins, and here he is doing the same thing again. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not complaining. It was cool to see him come out of the Ring of Fire and everything, but like I thought it was supposed to be a one-off. And they explain it as he's, you know, delving down, you know, he's not the, he's the more sadistic side of Edge. Well, he just had to do this with Rollins, right, at SummerSlam, and now he's got to do it again? Okay, like, I mean, he just did this. Now he's going to do it again. I don't know. To me, it was good when he just did it like as a one-off. Going back to it again, I think that's just a little too much. And it makes it feel like a little too similar, like a little played out, you know? You kind of have the same story here. Oh, he's got to reach down deep. But anyway, I enjoyed this match. I really did. I don't think it was as good as like the matches he was doing with Seth Rollins. But it was good. I mean, it seemed you know, like a really competent match. You didn't have a lot of those false finishes. And see, this is what I don't get. They don't even do that many false finishes in like matches with these like high caliber guys. Tag teams are kicking out every 2 minutes. I don't understand it for the life of me. You know, like finishers should definitely finish off mid-card guys. Main eventers, they should be like kicking out once in a while, mind you. But yeah, it was good. You know, when Beth Phoenix came out on the entrance stage, I swear I didn't know who she was. I was like, who the hell is that? I honestly did not like recognize her, and like names are like flowing through my head, and I'm trying to think like who is that? And then I'm noticing the crowd was like super silent for it as well. And then they started playing her theme music, and then people cheered because they saw like her Tron logos and everything. Yeah, they didn't know who she was either. I didn't expect to see her. And, you know, she had like a whole different thing going on, like a whole Viking style here with like her hair braided and like poofed up. So, you know, you can't blame me for not recognizing the girl, because God knows the crowd didn't even know who the hell she was. But she played a good part. She like chased Maurice away when she tried like getting involved. And that was the other thing I really liked about this match, is how the Miz was doing his heel tactics, and you don't really get to see a lot of that. You know, he was putting his feet on the ropes a lot, distraction from Maurice, you know, really like classic style there of having the manager. And you know, you really got to think about something. They don't really do this anymore with like valets. And can you imagine how much more effective it would have been had they given these people like more valets over the years? Like, and I don't get why they got away from that. Like, why did they get away from Sunny, Sable, Deborah? Like, look how much Deborah did for Jeff Jarrett's character in WWE. So, you know, I don't know where we got to the point where we can't do this anymore. You know, I think it's a great thing for the Miz, like having Maurice by his side. It adds to the presentation and everything. And I get it, you know, they're on a reality show together, so they're more inclined to do that for him, I guess, like as a favor, sort of. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was good. So Edge takes advantage of what's going on the outside, hits a spear on Miz, and yeah, it was a pretty good match, I thought. You know, I thought it was pretty cool to see Beth. I thought they used her effectively there, even though I didn't know who the fuck she was. We have an interview with MVP and Lashley in the back. Nothing really to report here. He talks about Brock being a once in a lifetime athlete, and so is Lashley. So maybe that might be a little bit of a precursor, a bit of a teaser. I hope that it is. You know, they're waiting way too long. They were waiting way too long, because I think they're actually going to do it now. To do Lashley and Brock. Like, they wait around for like ages to do these matches where they missed out on opportunities. You know, Austin and Hogan, Shawn Michaels and The Rock. You know, I could go on and on about all these opportunities that they missed. You know, countless matchups that they could have done, countless storylines, you know, that they could have done. Sting, Taker, you know, a favorite of many. You know, why are they still, after all these years, you know, these guys have been in WWE together now for like a good 3-4 years, and they still haven't pulled the trigger on it yet? and now it seems like we might get it. So I thought that was a little teaser. And that's basically it for that promo. And then we get what's got to be, in my opinion, absolutely the worst match on this card. One of the worst matches probably since they had that extra 30-minute SmackDown with Cringy Lynch and Sasha Banks. Remember that match where I talked about how boring and dragged out it was? That was this one, and I knew it was going to be like this. Can we now agree about Liv Morgan, people? Look, I understand. I agree. Very cute, very attractive girl. But, we're trying to make her a serious wrestler type, and it's not working. It's not working at all, guys. She's absolutely fucking terrible. I mean, look at her in there. Did you see where she's, draped over the top rope? Or the second rope on the apron. Becky hits a leg drop off the top. And, the way Liv just, unrealistically, flipped into the ring. And also, her doing these, made-up moves that she comes up with. It's all, weird moves that look super awkward. She's, first of all, it doesn't seem like she's got the basics down. Her movements are, really stiff and awkward and sloppy, which is, let's be honest. I know this pisses off a lot of people. But generally, women's wrestling is pretty sloppy, because they're trying to pick each other up and move them into positions. Obviously, they don't have as much strength to do this most of the time and do it as evenly and as precise as a lot of the male wrestlers. It's just a fact. I mean, you could just watch it, really. You could just see it's not as crisp, it's not as clean. I'll even admit that for Trish Stratus and Lita and stuff. It's not always as good, and you kind of watch it with that understanding. But Liv Morgan just always, every single thing that's in there is awkward to the max. And they're trying to push her because we have a bunch of goofs on the internet who thinks she's pretty, and this somehow translates to she should have long wrestling matches. I don't understand this. I understand we're living in a different time, but how was it that Sable, the longest match she wrestled was 2-3 minutes, and she was one of the most over women of all time? I'm just saying, maybe, just maybe, not every women's wrestler who's going to be your next big star has to be the big wrestling technical superstar. They like to sell all these girls are Bret Hart. They're all going to be just well versed in ring generals, and come on. This match right here, and for fuck's sake, Cole and Audible. No crowd reaction, and it's going on really long. It's not working. It looks bad. Anyone with 2 eyes could obviously see this. And I counted about 4 times where Liv Morgan screaming at the top of her lungs, ah! It's ridiculous. It's one thing when Melina used to do the scream and everything, but she is just screaming in rage. She's trying to show that she's being aggressive and being ruthless, but it comes off as being annoying and ear grating and bad acting is what it is. It seems childish. It looks like she's acting in a school play. I mean, awful, just terrible in almost every single way. You've got her screaming every 2 minutes. There's awkward, horrible looking wrestling. Becky, Cringy Lynch is out there. I gotta also ask a question. What the hell was up on that Raw recap? She was wearing some weird ass outfit that said what did it say? Chaka or something on it. and it had these weird like symbols on it, like it looked like she was a devil worshiper or something, or you know, or part of the Illuminati. Like what the hell was up with that? Like, I know they've been making her wear some weird stuff, but damn, I mean that was just probably one of the most outrageous outfits I think I've ever seen. I mean that was like a straight up like Lady Gaga, like yeah, like it really looked like something very Illuminati-ish to me. And I know Bin Hameen had some theories about that when they reviewed it over on Russo's brand, and you know, something was up with that. But this was just all around just terrible in every way. And you know, how about this? Cringy Lynch beats Bianca Belair, this chick who could pick up Otis and carry him for several seconds on her shoulder. You know, walks him around the ring, basically, well, partially around the ring, mind you. And Cringy Lynch gets the distinct honor, if you want to call it that, of beating her in like a few seconds. And you're telling me that same girl who beat Bianca Belair, this like athletic thoroughbred, she's having problems with Liv Morgan? Like, huh? Like, are you kidding me? Like, the believability there? What we have up next? We had Seth Rollins cutting a promo. Seems like Seth has still maintained his character, which is good to see. Johnny Knoxville is going to enter the Royal Rumble, which is fun. You know, I've talked about it. I'm a Jackass fan. You know, I don't know how much I'm going to be interested in seeing this new movie. You know, we've seen so much Jackass content over the years. There's been how many movies already? Like 4 of them. I don't even know if I saw the last one, to be quite honest. But yeah, you know, whatever. It's interesting, I guess, to see him in there. It's, you know, he has a new movie coming out, so it's still relevant. And then we get our main event. It's Brock Lesnar defeating Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Big E, and Lashley to win the WWE Championship in what's a pretty fast and not overly long main event, which I was happy to see. Of course, we have to have the the barricade breaking at ringside for like the 1,000th time, you know. Oh, but this is it's 2022 technically, so you know, there you go. That's your first barricade break of the year. Now get ready for 50 more of them. Anyway, I think this was a good decision. You know, you had you know, a bump in the road, to say the least, along the way. They inserted Brock Lesnar in there, so you know, now on both shows you have guys that look like champions. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, 2 really legit main eventers right there, and I think that looks really good. Now you could kind of really think that they could go like 1 or 2 ways with this. It looks like they might do something with Lashley, and he might just have his own match at Mania. And then you might have, you know, when Reigns might be in a feud with someone else, or they could finally merge those 2 suckers together, which would be a good idea. But, you know, as much as I'd like to see that happen, I definitely do want to see Lashley and Lesnar. You know, this is like one match where I think most people can agree, like both like the smarks and casuals, that like almost everybody wants to see these 2 guys go at it. Because I mean, just look at these guys. They're 2 mammoths, 2 guys in incredible shape. Brock Lesnar, like best shape he's been in years. That's saying something. And these guys, and like I said, you know, they're not getting any younger. I don't know why WWE has been waiting around for so long. I mean, this is the first time these guys have even climbed into the ring with each other. And I'm going to guess that, you know, the interaction that they had, and Brock kind of stole the pinfall there at the end. So I'm going to guess that is kind of where they're kind of headed in, and I hope so. So, overall, not a lot of complaints on this show. I mean, yes, you did have an overly long women's main event. Opening match, while not terrible, was definitely not my cup of tea, and it's definitely a match that they've played out way too long. You had a good edge match, but overall, there didn't seem like there was a lot on the line. Definitely a lot of people missing from this show. Barely any of the championships are on the line. U.S. title, Intercontinental title. Where are all these belts? The other women's title, not even on the line. Didn't even see it, right? Not that I'm complaining. I'm just saying, I'm going to guess they probably had a rematch with Toni Storm and Charlotte all lined up, but we all know what happened to Toni Storm, right? Gone. Some people are crying about that. Like, are people really crying over Toni Storm being gone? Like, you watch that match from last Friday and you're really like upset that she's gone, guys. More power to you if you are. But anyway, good show, enjoyable, entertaining, nothing mind-blowing as per usual, but definitely nothing where I could say it was bad or horrible. I'm sure some people will say that so they could prop up the next AEW pay-per-view. I see that, they had some episode, what was it, on Rampage, the women are bleeding like crazy. Yeah, if that's your cup of tea. Once again, more power to you. But yeah, there's my review. And so, guys, this is what I've decided on. Brock is obviously not going to be on SmackDown now. It doesn't appear to be. I am not going to be reviewing SmackDown if that's going to be the case. I am not going back to reviewing shows that are painful with nothing to show for it. Who is really left on SmackDown if Brock is not going to be there? It is going to be just unbearable. So, I am thinking about pretty much going on pay-per-views only, which is something that I toyed with that idea, months ago, and some people said they were cool with it. I know a few people said, oh, that means that you're only going to do one wrestling video per month. No, that's not true. There's other things we could do, because this is the thing. I know some people like the 40-minute videos of me going through everything, and but I honestly, even if they do less reviews on this channel, there's other stuff I want to get to. I really do. It's like other things that I just personally rather talk about that are better, and if I'm going to spend my time concentrating on a video and working on a video, I'd rather be something that I'm actually enjoying making the content, instead of torturing myself. And if I do a pay-per-view, at least the pay-per-views are better and I'm enjoying them. Here, there was more positivity in this video. Didn't you see that? I actually said, stuff was good and it was enjoyable. I was able to talk about little aspects I like. So, I think it will also make these wrestling videos feel a bit fresher. Even though we've only, we've down to one show a week and we haven't done Raw reviews in God knows how long, I just feel like it will make the content feel a lot more, refreshed, and I'll be more refreshed, I think, because it's a little bit too much, and really it's really a lot of the same comments. I think we could always make new jokes and everything, but there's nothing really left. It's really some of the haters are right. Sometimes it's yeah, why are you even watching this show? And I question that too. But yeah, like I said, I think pay-per-views going forward is probably the way that we need to go. because there's really nothing worth talking about on SmackDown unless this SmackDown comes up and we see that, you know, Brock's going to be there and they got a big plan to like replace him with some other good content. But the way he's been going, I've been thinking about it for quite some time. I think it's time I finally pull the trigger and just do pay-per-views. So let me know what you guys think about the day one in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about the direction of the channel also in the comments, and we'll discuss it. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bells to get all notifications when I post all my new videos. And I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And I think I forgot to say at the beginning of the video, but Happy New Year, guys. And I'll see you next time.